One. What's happening, YouTube? It's the Triple L show, Lamont and Larry live. And we have a special guest with us today. It's my big homie T Streams from Detroit. Since me and my wife couldn't make it to Detroit over the Rona, he decided to get on live and come over and do this live with us today. T Streams, what do you want to say to the people?
I don't know, man. I just want to say, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody playing their part in this global crisis right now. But outside of that, just hoping everybody doing good, staying healthy, keeping your kids inside, being conscious of what's going on around you. I know there's plenty of TV to watch, plenty of stuff on the Mike Tyson channel to watch, Larry's channel to watch. Yeah. It's all good over here, man.
And the living legend, Larry, what is on your mind, brother? You had wine and winners last night.
I did, man. I had a wine and winners that went for a long time, man. We were on, the two of us, for like an hour and a half or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then and after you got off, I brought my brother on for a while. And then I had a little technical difficulty. I had to back out and come back in, and I went in for like another 2 hours, man. So I was trying to give people something to do for a few hours on a quarantine Sunday night. So it was all good though. Had some good winners, and it was fun.
Well, nice. Fellas, I've got an action-packed show for you. Lots of stuff for y'all to debate. I'm gonna act as moderator and comedian. I'm gonna throw a joke or two in there, because y'all hear me say something about Super Bowl, or y'all hear me say something about a naked girl who's missing a leg, and it really entertained me. I'm just doing what I do. On the list of things we're going to cover, we have more celebrities who denied the coronavirus now have it. The New York Knicks owner got the Rona.
Now he has the Rona.
Got the Rona. We're going to talk about, with them passing $2 trillion in a government stimulus, is this not more evidence that African Americans should be able to get reparations? We're going to also cover who gets the Corona money. What businesses get the Corona money? If you're a struggle rapper, can you get Corona money? If you're a YouTuber, can you get it? If you're a struggling IG model, can you get it? We'll cover that. And then we're going to also talk about Tiger King and streaming TV, because Tiger King appealed to get his ass out of jail. And Larry got something he want to say about y'all's favorite president, Donald Trump.
Man, Donald Trump is tripping. So apparently now, the latest thing is he's saying that the U.S. is not going to pay for security for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And to me, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these people that really follows the royal family, but I'm just thinking, like, come on, man, that's just ridiculous and petty. I mean, let's not forget that Prince Harry is still a member of the royal family. Even if his mom has said, whatever, you're not going to get all the perks and whatever, he's still a member of the royal family, from one of our closest allies. And if he needs security while he's in our country, it is our obligation as a country to provide him that security. Just like if we were to send over, Baron Trump over into England because he wanted to go to Oxford or something.
Oh, Lord.
If he needed security, it is the UK's obligation to provide him security to keep that boy safe. So, and let's not forget, Meghan Markle is a U.S. citizen.
Right. Very, very nice.
So if she needs security, forget about Prince Harry. If she needs security, it is up to the U.S. to provide her security. The primary function of a government is to provide security to its citizens. And sometimes that means individual citizens, and not us as a whole, but the actual individual citizen. And so I think we just have to give it to them. I mean, you may not like it, but it is what it is.
Taylor,
it is one of those situations that could definitely be iffy. But you said the right thing, Larry. If his son went over that way, he would be treated as some form of dignitary or diplomat or something, man. And then, I mean, it's just common etiquette just to take care of your people like that. Now, the thing is Trump might have enough balls to try to push his agenda and just say, screw it anyway, But would it be right? Nah, it wouldn't be right. But I think he's to try it.
Can you imagine though? Can you imagine the the political fallout if he denied them security and then something happened to Prince Harry?
Yeah,
I mean,
I can see that. But the problem that we have is that I don't think this clown actually considered consequences, and no disrespect to anybody that may be a Trump follower or anything, but I don't think he really get 2 cents of what type of consequences may happen because of that,
Well, if you're a Trump follower, I want to say all disrespect intended. That's just me. It's just all disrespect intended. T. Streams is being nice over there. I'm just saying, if you're a Trump follower, full 100% disrespect intended.
Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, we will come back to y'all's favorite president. Let us get on down this card of great things we're going to cover today. Fellas, coronavirus is still something that is kicking America's ass. There was a long list of celebrities that came out and made fun of the Rona, including our president, including some of his rich buddies. One of his rich buddies, the New York Knicks owner, James Dolan, has recently come out and said the Knicks owner, which is him, got the Rona. Larry, what do you think about the New York Knicks owner coming out, getting the Rona after he mocked the Rona?
I mean, I don't wish anybody any ill will. And I hate to say something like that is just sort of just karma, but it is. I mean, it's kind of like karma's a bitch. I mean, you deny something like that and then you come down with it. I mean, hopefully, and I say this in all seriousness, I hope this is a learning opportunity for him. I hope it's one of those times when he experiences this and then he stops being a conspiracy theorist or a type that's not believing in real stuff and decides he's going to realize, yeah, shit, I'm human. I may be a billionaire, I may be a multimillionaire, and I have all this power and fame and whatever else, but I could be taken out just like the poorest dude on the street. Yeah. And maybe some of these people that were denying this stuff or didn't think it was serious or thought somehow that their celebrity and fame and wealth was going to keep them immune to this. Hopefully some of these people will now start to think about the larger society in general and how they might be able to help instead of just being leeches, know?
Right.
And the same thing happened with Rudy too. He was on TV and he was doing his little play around, then turned around like a day or two later, turned around and come up with it. Is definitely unfortunate. And like I shared with you, earlier, man, I got people, family, that's dealing with it personally, and that's sort of and it's not a laughing matter, because of the way that is, this stuff is different when it's on TV than when it's affecting you. And when you got somebody like them that's thinking things fun and games, you're right, karma has a way of coming back and kicking you dead in the back. And is something like this really it shouldn't be toyed with. This is something that's very, very serious, and it's killing, it's taking lives. There's other things out there, but at the rate and the magnitude that this thing is going right now, the whole world is turned upside down now.
Right.
And you get these athletes that saying, athlete stars or whoever out here, playing and joking like it is a game, and then you turn around and see some of them, coming down with it. It's no longer a laughing matter. Now
right.
It's all apologies and stuff like that. Man, this is real.
Right.
So, I feel that these individuals who felt like the ones who have power or are celebrities that was coming out making their statements, they don't believe it. I just really feel like they have been out of touch with the average American working class individual. Because if you really understand the plight that they're going through, They're not sitting in some perch, not having to worry about bills. They're not sitting somewhere, not having to worry about their health care. They're not sitting in a place where if they miss 3 or 4 days from work, that could make their ends, hell, talk about meat, not even wave at each other.
Right.
So I really feel like whether you believe it's a hoax or not, you have verifiable data sitting right in front of your face. And instead of making it a political agenda or just going off on your own affirmation, just state what the facts are. This thing is killing people at a 4% clip, which is way higher than the damn flu. It's spreading 5 times faster than the flu, and it's affecting commerce. Now, for you rich people that you think you've gotten so rich that when the people on the bottom crumble, it doesn't affect your commerce, then why the hell is the government giving so many damn bailouts? I read the case.
Yeah, and it's some people that's carrying some serious weight that actually got it. You got the Prime Minister of Britain, you got Prince Charles, yeah, of course, Rand Paul and the rest of them guys. So you would think that once it start hitting that upper echelons, folks will start, they'll start
paying attention, doing something.
Like, so those of us at the bottom of the poll, some of us, they may think we're expendable,
Right. Well, they did this today. Trump did today say that he was extending the whole quarantine lockdown thing till April 30th. So it looks like it's going to go all the way through the rest, obviously the rest of this month and all the rest of April. So it's gonna get really tough for a lot of people. And I think for those out there that haven't already bought a lot of food, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who have tried to stock up when they first said some of this, but I think a lot of people, myself included, I stocked up for like maybe 3 weeks, thinking that it was only going to be 2 weeks, and now they're talking about another 4 weeks. I really need to go and probably buy like a good 2 months worth of food just to make sure we have enough to be comfortable. Because I mean, it's one thing when you have a little bit, but when you think about what happens if the grocery store people can't go to work, what if they get sick and they just can't make it and the stores are starting to close down? What happens if the distributors are just can't distribute the food? I mean, at some point you really have to start stocking up and paying attention about what could be and not think about the whole conspiracy thing. I know people always would say, oh, these preppers are a bunch of conspiracy nuts and they're just out of the, but at some point you realize, there's a need for some of that. They may be prepping for the wrong stuff, but at something like this, I think it's, you really need to pay attention to what's happening and get ahead of it a little bit. Because otherwise you could really be, for the worst part, just hungry. Forget about just, sick. You could literally be in your house starving to death if this goes on a couple of months and you can't get food.
Well, here's the problem with you two dudes. This is y'all's problem, okay? See, y'all two Negroes like to stay nice and lean year round. You know what I'm saying? What I do in my house from October through January, I put on that winter bear fat. You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be working on them cuts for the slut right now. And because of the coronavirus, I can't go to the gym and lift weights and I can't get it off. What you can do is just eat as much food as you can, pack on 20 pounds right now. And then when you can get back outside and start running, that's when you shred it. That is how coronavirus keep the calories in the body in-house.
Well, hey. I tell you what, I need to start, man, because my eating habit has intensified about 5-fold. I mean, every 2 hours, I'm just like, I'm sitting up there grub. I was sitting up there grubbing right before you hit me. Like, damn, I hope I can finish this. It's something about just sitting still that just make you want to just grab something. I don't know if it's because I'm in here and I constantly see it, but man, I'm like, since I talked to you earlier today, man, I didn't had three larger than average snacks. I'll put it that way.
Word.
So I got this old heavy bag and speed bag and stuff on the other side of my basement here. I might need to go over there and start working out.
Hey, I'm gonna have to get outside. It's like a 60% grade hill right in front of my house. I'm gonna have to get my ass out there and start doing parachute sprints. I mean, I'm gonna have to tie a parachute to my back and start sprinting up those hills.
Oh yeah,
it's getting rough over here, bro. You might not see another cut for the slut for 2 years if we don't slow down this coronavirus. Like I was telling my man in Walmart the other day when he was buying condoms, he was buying Rona no baby condoms. What else he had in his grocery cart? Nothing but food and snacks. So you already know what's about to be going down in his house. Sex, snack, sex, snack, sex, snacks.
That's a recipe right there.
Yeah, man. That is not the Colonel's recipe. That's
right.
This Rona recipe. We got going on.
You know, the thing is, like with trying to get out and about. Like, so I've been trying to go out and walk a bit, and I've been really frustrated because it's like I'm out and people just don't want to give you that 6 feet. It's like you see people walking on the sidewalk. So I'm walking on the sidewalk. I see someone come from the opposite direction. So we're going at each other. And like you would think that proper etiquette would say, you would step off to the side a little bit, and I step off to the side a little bit, and that way we have space. These motherfuckers don't want to give you any space, man. They just want to keep on going, so they just like practically bump you. So I end up having to step off into the street. So me and my wife were walking in the streets trying to avoid the cars because people don't want to move at all. And I mean, I've just gotten to the point where I've just started, when people start walking by, I'm just saying 6 feet, 6 feet, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. No, motherfucker, you knew. You know? I mean, it's ridiculous. And then, then we walked around. We did this loop when we came around by the local high school, and I posted this on my Instagram joint the other day, where there was like a circle of cars. They had the kids drove up to the high school. They were parked in the parking lot, and they parked their cars and backed them up into a circle. And they had the hatches up because they all have their little fancy SUVs in this area. So they all had their hatches up, sitting in the cars, playing music and partying in the parking lot together. And so I was like, maybe this was just like a one-time thing. No, we went back there again. It's same thing. And the whole new group of kids out there with their cars in the parking lot, with their hatches up, partying together, hanging out. And I'm like, where are their parents at? Why are their parents telling them, no, you can't leave the house? Take the damn car keys from them. I mean, they're up there. I know they think they're immune because they're kids, but they keep talking about these younger people are starting to get it. And okay. If you're a young person in Europe, maybe where you walk around a lot, or you're a young person in China where you're healthy, but if you're a young person in America where 40% of them are overweight and obese, you're not that damn healthy, you know? You need to be worried about the damn Rona. And
Larry, I got to give a response from people making comments. So first and foremost, let me shout out everybody that's in there. God knows we love y'all for coming to these lives, sharing the videos, going to all of our social media. You know, you can find Larry on YouTube. You can find Taylor at his group T Streams on Facebook. We're always so happy to have y'all engaging us, giving us dialogue so that we can understand where you all are coming from as a group. But there is one comment that was just posted that is just not true, and I got to speak on it.
Put it up there. Put it on the screen.
The Cut 209 says, "You're not about to get Rona passing by someone." That's
Lamont, put it on the screen. Tap the comment on there. It'll show up on the screen here.
Okay, my bad. The Cut says, "You're not about to get Rona passing by someone." That's crazy talk, paranoid now. Okay, now the Cut, I don't know what your background is, but my background is I'm a respiratory therapist. And furthermore, my wife is a medical MD. When someone coughs or sneezes, that stuff travels an estimated mile. And it don't even got to be powerful for it to travel that much. There is a reason they're telling you to have a 3 or 4 foot distance from someone, because if someone sneezes or someone coughs or someone has a high level of perspiration and gets close to you, that can get into any of the orifices you have on your body and cause you to either carry the corona or get infected with the symptoms. So I got to educate you on that one, my friend. What you're saying is just not true.
And if they cough or sneeze or something and it gets on, let's say it gets on your clothes and you touch your clothes and then you touch your face, it can get in your mouth, your nose, wherever. Or it gets on your clothes, and you go home and you give your wife or your kids a hug, and their face pushes up against your shirt. Now they can have it. So
Right.
it is. I mean, you think you're not going to get it just by walking by someone. If you walk by and someone is shedding that virus because they sneeze or cough or whatever, it's a possibility. And maybe it's not the same level of possibility as if you go touch their bodily fluids that they left on a shopping cart or something like that. But it's still a possibility, which is the reason why they're saying give people 6 feet. 6 feet is fully stretched. I have pretty good wingspan. 6 feet is if you take the far end of my fingertips to the far end of my other fingertips, you should be that far away from me at all times. And
if you ever watch one of those old virus movies or something like that, where they slow the camera down when they sort of trying to detail the transmission of it, sort of like when they sneeze and the invisible particles that just sort of linger around for a few minutes or so in the air. And so if you like walking into that stuff, it's like, you walking dead, you walking into it. So,
right.
So why you probably can't inherently just get it from somebody just walking past, but if there's other factors that come into play, if they sneezing and they coughing, or whatever, running and sweating and perspiration is dripping off of them, or anything. And that's why they're wearing the face shields, and why they're telling you that the droplets, this stuff is like crazy contagious, and so.
Right.
The droplets, the droplets that's lingering around, the infection rate for that is like terrible. And a sneeze, even if you're in a room and you sneeze, you get one of them real good ones. And it's just right. you can see it in the air,
Right.
And I damn sure don't want to walk into. I don't want to walk.
No, and they're saying that the coronavirus can survive on certain surfaces for 2 to 4 days. So I mean, you're talking about like on regular like plastic surfaces, vinyl surfaces. They're saying it can last for 2 to 4 days. They're saying on cardboard it can last up to a day, I think it is, and then on like copper surfaces it lasts for like 4 hours. So
check out what my man Tim Windsor said. He said, Larry, do what I do. I was in Dollar Tree the other night, had people all over me. So instead of swinging, I started fake coughing and people cleared out.
Thinking about coughing, people, tell people about what you were showing us, that, about that woman. We talked about it briefly a little bit, that woman who was coughing in the stores.
Which one?
There was one when she was coughing in the store. They ended up having to throw out like, what was it, $35,000 worth of produce?
Oh my Lord, have mercy. Yeah, man. So it was a lady in Aldi or one of those grocery stores, and she was over in the meat section, and the chick just started randomly just coughing all over the meat, and they wound up having to take all the meat because she had coughed, and she had coronavirus. She had coronavirus. And she's standing over there coughing on all the damn produce, man. So they had to take that $35,000 worth of produce and just throw it away.
People like that, I just don't understand what inspires someone. I mean, that's just pure evil, because you really could just be killing people.
Well, what about the white dudes that's all up in the stores talking about they're not worried about it, and they're going around licking deodorant? I mean, hell, if your breath stink, man, go get some candy. Don't go around licking and licking bottles. They were just doing the most.
I tell you what, I just told my people, man. I just told them, I said, right now, because it's affecting me personally, I can't deal with no kind of pranking. So, if I see, and it may be even hazardous to my health, but if I see something like that going on around me, now I'm picking something up and I'm clubbing you. Do not be in my immediate vicinity, hacking over food, doing crazy stuff like that. Cause I can't, I'm not into the pranks, not doing it. And I swear on everything I love, man, I'm gonna grab something, the hardest thing I can find, that's gonna give me my distance, and I'm gonna hit you dead upside your head with it. I'll deal with the consequences later, but I have to go into these stores. My kids have to go into these stores. People I know go into these stores. People I don't know go into these stores. And for somebody that's doing this stuff, just whether they seriously, because you got to look. Some people contract illnesses and then they go into this like crazy depression. Like, well, since I got it, everybody got to get it now.
Mm-hmm.
So now they being malicious, okay? And then you have the pranksters. There's nothing wrong with them, but they doing it for likes. They filming, they doing this and just to see folks' reaction. Well, my reaction for both instances is I'm gonna grab something and I'm gonna club the hell out of you. They're gonna take me up out of there in some cuffs, because then you're not gonna be in my vicinity pranking. I don't care if you man or woman, you young or old. I'm gonna club you. That's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. Everybody had that same ideology. But if I'm in the store and somebody bitch.
And I wonder, and part of that is, I think, is we've grown up over the last probably last generation or so. People have grown up just seriously self-centered and selfish, and you have this whole generation now that's all about their so-called likes. They don't really have true friends that like them, so they want to find people who like them on the internet, and they're trying to get their little bit of shine. I mean, that's why we had this whole thing where people were doing that stupid challenge where they were going into grocery stores and pulling the tops off of ice cream and licking the ice cream and then putting it back on. And that was like a thing that was going around for a while. People were filming themselves do it and then posting it online. And so you do stuff like that, and you start to normalize it. People think it's funny and they start to normalize it. But then when something like this happens, when you have a true pandemic and people don't really respect the danger that you can cause to other people, it's just it stops being a joke. It becomes a matter of life and death. And it's just I mean, I hate to say it, we really do have an entire generation of participation trophy kids that really only think about themselves. And as a consequence, when you're in a situation like we're currently in, you can't think about just yourself and expect to survive. It's just not going to work. I mean, when you think about China, they have been through this before a number of times, but you see they were very cooperative with each other, and they stayed in. They got their situation worked out relatively quickly. And they're starting to get back to normal to some degree. But, if we can't get ourselves together like that here to try and work together, it's just going to linger on for months and months and months. It's going to drag down not just our economy, it's going to drag down the global economy.
Yeah. I'll say this before we move to the next subject. We really need people to start using rational thought, understanding what real statistics are, and stop affirming things to be what you want them to be. And this country and the world would be a better place. But we'll come back to Rona in a second.
Let me say one last thing, Lamont.
Yeah.
Let me say one last thing. And this is something I'm not sure. I know you know it, and I'm sure T-Streams knows it. I don't know how many people are aware of this. One of the reasons why America is so powerful in this world is because the US dollar is the de facto currency around the world. Just about everybody who's important, all the countries that are important, peg their currency to our dollars. And if we have an economy that is dragged down and basically starting to get wiped out because of this, because people won't stay home, because people won't do what they're supposed to do, and our economy gets dragged out for months and months or a year, what's going to happen is the US dollar will cease to be the de facto currency of the world. They will find another currency, which means the US will no longer have the power that we have. We will no longer have our place in the world as you know it. And I don't think most people understand what that's going to mean for us. Forget about just financial security, just actual physical security is going to be different. So
moving right along, this will get you guys highly engaged, because whenever you see these stimulus packages that are well over billions being instituted, it makes you wonder. And I'll set this up in this manner. Every race of people who have been oppressed have gotten some form of reparation, whether it was the natives to the land of America, whether it was the Jews, whether it was the Chinese that was assaulted during the Vietnam era. Everybody has gotten their share of the pie to say, you know what, we fucked up. Well, to the question I have to you guys, does a $2 trillion stimulus package finally show that Black people deserve reparations?
Well, I don't think the package itself says that we deserve reparations. I think the fact that we were enslaved shows that we deserve reparations. But what it does show is that we can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think deserving is independent of what is happening. But what it does show is that we can't afford to provide, us FBAs, we should get our reparations. Now, I'm not talking about people who are coming here from other places as first generations, but us foundational Black Americans, we should get our reparations, and America can afford it.
Yeah. Well, I do agree with you there, and you know what, that may even spark, whether or not they do it. I don't think they'll ever do it, but I think that question can spark a healthy and complicated debate at the same time, because the whole issue in the past is, where is this going to come from? Well, where is it coming from now? And so it definitely speaks to the fact. So it's no longer no longer an opinion. It now speaks to the fact that if something like this to this magnitude can be done now, to a nation, around 300 million strong, Blacks only take up 13% of the population here. If they try to finagle it and say, okay, we'll go down, genealogies and stuff like that, and then sort of separate it, that's going to bring that 13% down even more. Then why can't they do it?
Right.
Honestly, it could have been something resolved and moved on years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if, after all this stuff is over with, if that talk comes back and this is used as a case study to supply a foundation for that argument.
Well, let me tell you what, you guys make great points, both of you individually. And because people are waking up to the fact that neither side of the political aisle really gives a hot fucking care about the deficit. Neither one of them really cares about the deficit.
Right.
They've been constructing other questions to put flies in the, so to speak, ointment of why are we not giving Black people reparations? The new thing that they're pushing is, how are we going to trace back whose ancestors were truly and really slaves? And I was like, didn't somebody come up with Ancestry.com? I mean, am I losing my mind here? How is that going to be the issue that's going to throw gears in the sand? We have like an Ancestry.com, nigga. You can give us our money. You just don't want to give up that money. Mm-hmm. The money can be given up. But the thing is going to be like this. Who would ever get in office that can propel such an agenda? Who could it be? It ain't gonna be Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe ain't gonna get in there and do it because he's dead center. He's as center as Obama was.
Yeah, I don't even think another Black president would try it, because to try it and actually push for it would probably be political suicide on their behalf. Mm-hmm. Whether it's successful or not, which I doubt it. Just to even attempt it is going to pull a whole different look towards them, and whoever it is will not have another chance again.
Well, it couldn't be a Black Democratic president. If somehow we had a Black Republican president, they might be able to push for it, because they could probably make some argument to the Republican Party, like this has been a drag on our country for 200 years. Let's go ahead and get this. Let's get this done and get it over with, so we can move forward as a nation. And I think that if you could, because the Democrats would be down with it, I think if the opportunity really presented itself, but the Republicans would never go for it if it was a Democratic proposition. So I think if we actually had a black Republican president, and they could probably get it done. But I think that might be the only way that it could get done.
I'm going to make y'all laugh. Y'all can laugh at what I'm about to say, but y'all want me to tell you who I think could get it done because they don't give a fuck?
Don't say Trump.
That got us in the White House right now. and his redneck followers, he would be able to tell them that sugar don't taste sweet, that shit don't stink. We need these black people to get they sweet meat. And they will go along with it. They go along with everything else he does. I think Donald Trump, if he really wanted black people to have reparations, he is the man that could pull it off.
You know what, Lamont, I'm afraid to say, man, you probably right. He probably the only one right now with the balls to do it, and can probably make his folks convinced about it. But
I mean,
do it. Don't even worry about that. He's definitely gonna do that. Let me post y'all a comment. The Cut 209. Just a month ago, people were jumping on Bernie about free college, saying how he was going to pay for it. Now we just printed up $2 trillion. Folks like monopoly money. Of course they did. They did. A politician and rich people's favorite motto: never let a good crisis go to waste. And this is a crisis that they can't let go to waste. Period.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, especially I just keep saying, because as middle class people, we're going to be the ones that end up paying for this. And we're also the ones that are not going to get it, because, when you have people that are poor or people that are not making a lot of money, and so they're not really paying any federal tax anyways, because they're below a certain income level, or people who are rich who use all the financial shenanigans that they used so they can avoid paying income tax, so the corporations aren't paying them. You end up with a small pool. It's not a small pool because a lot of us are middle class, but you have a lot of people that are going to make over 75 grand a year, or combined with their families are going to make over 150. And we're never going to see that stimulus package. Yet we're going to end up paying for the entirety of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's frustrating in that sense. I personally think that a package like that should have gone out to everybody. Just like when people have talked about with Bernie's thing about with free college and, rich kids shouldn't be able to go to school for free. I honestly believe that if you are an American and there is a policy for America, I don't care if you're rich or poor, you should be able to take advantage of that policy. Now, if some of these things, it's like, for a rich person, $1,200 doesn't mean jack to them. So if they get it, okay, great. Maybe they just donate it to charity. Maybe they use it. I don't know. For free college, I mean, the chances are they're not going to send their kids to the state school just because it's free. They're still going to send their kids to Harvard and Yale and Brown and Cornell and all these other fancy Ivy League private schools that cost a ton of money. Or if your kids, are dummies, they'll send them to some other rich school that will let them in. Even though they're dummies, but they're still going to pay for it. All it's going to mean with free college is that kids who are smart, who previously couldn't afford to go to college, can now actually go to college and become more productive American citizens.
Yeah. And, I'm still sort of indifferent about this whole stimulus deal. I think a lot of people could use it and would benefit from it or whatever. But I'm looking at it from the standpoint, like, if things continue to persist, how much is $1,200 going to make? How much is $1,200 really going to make a difference in the way things are, in the way things are going? My businesses are down right now. We got executive orders from our governor to close our shops, and so I can't go and open up. And like we was saying earlier, you got $1,200 can't you can use it, you can spend it, but it does not go. It to me, I don't think it goes very far to make that much of an impact. To where it really makes sense as if it's going to stimulate or boost, because those checks are going to come out and everybody's still going to be closed.
Right.
And so what do you do? Do you give a second and a secondary or tertiary allotment to folks? Because this is, if I understand this clearly, these are to be stimulants for the economy, to boost small businesses and stuff like that. And for the most part, is when you look at it, it's the small businesses that's closed right now, and they're going to continue to be closed well after folks get their checks. So you won't be able to use it to stimulate that part of the economy. And then when you take out the waste, because all of it's not going to be spent wisely. Some's going to go to waste. The weed man's going to get some, and other people are going to get some. And so so I'm sort of undecided if whether or not the whole stimulus thing is even good overall. I want to have a bread. If they're going to give you your bread, get your bread. But is this the solution to the problem? Is this what's going to help boost the economy after a devastating blow like this? I don't really think so.
So now that you jumped on the subject, we're going to careen to that subject. The next thing we was going to go to, fellas, is the Corona bill money, also known as CARE. The government passed $2 trillion in stimulus money. Me and Larry have already kind of talked about it, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth today. $2 trillion. There's money for the average American. There's money for small business. There's money out there for real estate. So that really kind of includes everybody sitting here on this live cast. And let me tell you the breakdowns. So if you're single, filing single, and you at least did your taxes by 2018, $75,000 and less, you're going to get $1,200. If you're a couple and you made $150,000 or less, you're going to get $1,200. If you made $112,000, you're filing head of the household, you're going to get some money. Now, this is what we didn't know Thursday. So if you are single and you made between $75,000 to $99,000, you still are going to get some money, but you're not going to get the full $1,200. Couple that made between $150K to $198K, you still going to get some money, but it's not going to be the full $1,200. Who doesn't get money? If you're an illegal alien, you're undocumented green card, you don't have a social security number, you don't get any money. If you are retired living on social security, you get some of the money. And the last group of people that you got to watch out for is our 1099 filers. 1099 filers are people that do Uber, people that do YouTube, Larry, people that do struggle rappers, struggle IT models, struggle Twitter models, all people that file 1099. You can go to your local state's unemployment office and file for unemployment. The federal guideline for unemployment is $600 a week for 17 weeks, and the state is going to give you a stipend on top of that. Gentlemen, is that not enough to get people ready for the holidays? I'll start with you, Larry.
No, it's not enough. And when you look at it, when you look at what they're doing in other countries, like in the UK, for instance, the government's paying up to 80% of people's salaries. If you earn, I believe it was if you earn like 2,500 pounds, up to 2,500 pounds. So that I'm not sure what the exchange rate is right now. I think that's around like a little over $3,000 a month or something like that. So if you were making about $3,000 a month, here, the government in the UK, the government would be paying 80% of your salary. So you would probably, so at 2,500, you're making, maybe they're paying you about $2,000, about 2,000 pounds a month of your salary. And so a lot of people, unless you're really living on the edge, check to check, I think most people can probably survive on 80% of their salary. And so that seems like a really fair thing. And I know Canada's, I think they're giving people like $2,400 a month during this period. So, I mean, it's a lot different than where you're talking about, you know, in the US giving people a one-time $1,200 payment and then saying, okay, maybe you can qualify for unemployment and then we'll give you your unemployment plus a little bit extra. So, right. I mean, I just think if you're talking about really trying to keep the economy rolling, keep people going, yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, it's going to be a serious financial burden on the government, but I still think it works better if you just say, cool, you make whatever, $50,000 a year. Okay, we know we're cutting you back. You're only going to make, 35 because that's what we're going to pay you. And when this thing is over, you go back to work, everything's good. But we're going to pay 80% of your salary while this is going on. I think a lot of people can live with that.
Before you go, let me answer this question. Hudson says, I owe the IRS. Will I get my $1,200? Yes.
No.
Yeah, no, he gets his money. The only people that don't get money, so even if you owe the government back taxes, they're still going to give you the money. There's only one group of people that's not going to get money, and Larry is not going to like this answer.
I already know it's for probably people who owe child support.
You got it. If you owe child support, you will not get the $1,200. The floor is yours, T-Streams.
Yeah.
Well, that's nothing new. They sticking the rod in the back of anybody that owe child support, whether it's legitimate or not. But
oh boy, you don't even go there, man, because it's some women up here, man, that's got arrows and they from the Amazon and they will talk about that.
Hey, I'm just stating my humble opinion, man. I spent 11 years fighting a case, being wrongfully accused of being a dad, just for the state to tell me that they recognize that I am not the biological father. I am the legal father of a child that is now grown with 2 kids.
Good God Almighty.
I fought and spent thousands.
Damn.
Man.
So I don't give 2 shits about nobody's attitude about that. I have to agree, man. I think the whole stimulus thing is a little lopsided to me, because, like I said, I don't think that one time burst is going to resolve the problem. I think the cut 2009 acts was from the D. Absolutely, homeboy. And it's weird how this worked, and I'm really interested to see how it actually plays out, to see, because we really, we can draw our conclusions, but we really won't know until everything is actually released and folks get to moving. Mm-hmm. Now, you asked if it's gonna be good by the holidays. I don't know. The first holiday coming up is Easter.
Forget it.
I don't see these lavish, just last year, folks go out and they do the damn thing for Easter, and you might have some that do it that still try to do it this year. But I don't see the whole thing laid out, all the family over and all this other.
No,
down. Might as well eat some turkey sandwiches and call it a day. It's sad, but this is where we are. And I was looking at how Canada is doing their people. If US wanted to help, I think that would be a good model to follow. Canada has a very, very exceptional package that's believable as far as it comes to if it's possible to do what it's intended to do. What we got, nah, I think it's just not gonna help. And then by the time you take away from everything by the time you take away the fact of those that's not even getting a cut,
Mm-hmm.
then you really like, okay, well, damn, what's the whole purpose then? Because it's almost, when if you look at it from a statistics standpoint, okay, then it's when you look at it from a statistics standpoint, it's almost like you doomed either way. And to me, that little 1,200 funky little dollars, it's gonna be good for some,
right?
And I'm appreciative for everybody that's able to get it, and it works for them,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But, if you paying 600, if you paying a $600 or $700 rent, you spending 300 on food, and 300 on food don't last me no month. I don't know, if it's still, if $300 a month is still, if folks still able to eat off that or not. But for me, it don't work.
That's for the sluts.
Oh, yeah. and so by the time you pay your rent or mortgage or whatever the case, if pending you not able to get no type of deferment or something like that, pay your little car note or your bills and stuff. I mean, you left with you really left with a few pennies. It's not gonna really last that long.
I truly believe they're going to have to do a second stimulus package, because if they're talking about extending this out all the way through to the end of April, I just don't see how this little bit of money that they're giving out to people is going to be enough. It's just not going to be. They're going to have to do more. I mean, it maybe because they gave so much to big business this first go around, maybe the next stimulus package doesn't need to be as big, because we can maybe cut out the elements of big business out of that package, and the next package could be focused primarily on the citizens. But I think they're going to have to come out, especially because they said they're extending out to April 30th. I mean, that's just, when we're talking about a full blown month.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's assuming that with that month, we're assuming that by the time we get to April 30th, that the curve is starting to flatten out.
Right.
And if it starts to flatten out, they're probably going to say, I mean, you're probably going to have the CDC and other people saying, look, it's just flattened out. This is not the time to go out. We need a couple more weeks so we can start to see a dip. And so we could be into mid-May before they start saying, okay, it's safe for people to start to go back to work in certain sectors. But I mean, it's good. I just, so many people in this country are living on the edge financially. I just don't see how they're not going to be able to get away with doing it without a second stimulus package. They're going to have to do another one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. Here's the second point that is in the bill that I was just kind of waiting till we got to the bigger business, because they did put something in there for people that own real estate. I do. Taylor does. They did put something in there because a lot of people in the commercial property and in regular real estate aren't going to be able to pay their bills. So
Right.
the one provision that they put in there for big business and for people that own real estate is something called SBA 7A loan. How does that work? Well, if you are a landlord to somebody running a commercial business, or if you do like I used to do, I own my own building and I ran my enterprise out of that building. What you can do is apply for this loan, and 1 out of 3 banks will have it. So if you don't get it the first bank, go to the next bank. And the ceiling for you to apply if you're a small business is $10 million. That's your ceiling.
Damn.
And what is a small business? A business that has 500 or less employees. That is the backbone and the lifeblood of America. That is your average business in America.
So I'm extra small.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it depends on how much revenue you do. I don't care if you got 2 people. You bringing in $10 million a year, nigga. I don't know how small you think that is. I mean, it is what it is. You can call yourself small, but you ain't Biggie. you're small.
Yeah.
But long story short, so to apply for that money, you go into a bank, you apply for the 7A SBA program. And even while they're going through the application process, when you get the application in, you're basically going to get the loan. For the first 8 weeks, while you're either getting the loan or the loan comes through, whatever you spend from that money is given to you free of charge. It doesn't go against the loan. And then after the first 2 months, that is actually loan money. For example, you pay your mortgage, you pay your utilities, you pay your payroll. And if you fired somebody because you wasn't going to be able to make it, you can even bring those people back and put them back on the payroll. And everything you pay for the first 8 weeks is not a loan that's given to you. The loan kicks in at the 8-week period. Taylor, what do you think about that program?
Well, I may have to check it out. Let's see. I think is that I can sort of work with that, but I think it's for the smaller business. I do understand that they put real high stakes on what they consider to be, small business. But I think, for folks like us with, a few employees and stuff like that, and, few, shops or buildings, restaurants, or whatever you may have, I think that could actually work out. I'm gonna have to actually take a look at the bill because I did know that they was coming up with something like this, and I first heard about it. I think just yesterday or the day before, and then when you mentioned it earlier, and so I'm gonna have to actually take a look at it and see where I fit in at on there, and because I know that this month is already, when bills was coming in and when bills had to be paid, everything was just sort of happening. So my tenants and ours, our stuff sort of, we set for this month. So next month, which is right around the corner, is getting ready to come around. So, I don't know. Hell, I was saying today, tomorrow I'm gonna call and see about damn Comcast bill, just to see, because all that counts. My internet and phone bill at one of my places is $460 a month, just for the internet and the phone, because we have backups and stuff. But if it's no revenue coming in, where you at. So I'm gonna call and check. I'm gonna call and check with that and see, and I'm gonna investigate that bill a little bit more. Just listen to what you have to say. I'm sort of interested, especially if we're gonna have to go. My prediction is 2 months, but if we have to go, even if we have to go another full month, I think it's something still worth looking at for anybody that has rental property, or if you subleasing a shop to a store or a salon or whatever the case may be. Anything, when you're not getting that booth rent, or when they're not buying your clothes or whatever you have, that makes a big difference, especially if you're not, if that's your 9 to 5, if you're not punching no other clock, and this is how you live, then you should definitely take a look at that. And I know I will. I'm going to be looking into it and see.
What's your thought?
One thing I'm curious about, I've heard a number of people, and I've heard a number of companies say that they're not going to cut people off. I think the government has said that they're making sure that people aren't evicted out of their housing, that their electricity and water and other utilities are not cut off. What I'm curious about is, when this is over, let's just say that this goes for, let's say it goes for another 2 months. We know it's going all the way through April. Let's say it goes through May, and they call it and let people go back to work and such in June. Well, if you've been behind on your utilities and your rent and other stuff, Are they going to then turn around and say, okay, you owe for the last 2 months? Is this going to be something that's going to be forgiven? Is it something that the utilities or your landlord or whoever can then apply with the federal government to use that as a tax write-off or something and say, well, I have 5 tenants that missed $2,000 worth of rent each month, so I want to, I'm writing off $10,000. I mean, how does that work out? Because, if you can't afford to pay your rent, and if your rent's $2,000 and you can't afford to pay your rent, when you go back to work and they lift this quarantine, what makes people think you're all of a sudden going to have $4,000 to pay that back rent and the $2,000 you're going to have to pay the rent moving forward? Yeah. I mean, I'm just talking about rent, but all the utilities. I want to know how all that's going to play out for people, because I mean, it's nice to have some form of some leeway to say, okay, well, I can't pay it today, I'll try and pay it later. But what happens when that later comes?
Yeah, I think, man, I've been trying to put some serious thought into that, because that right there is about to be my reality, just in a few short weeks. And I was just thinking, that for the most part, I think they'll probably, for leases and stuff like that, I think it's a little bit easier, because you can defer and all this other kind of stuff. But I think like utilities will probably try to slap folks into budgets and stuff like that. But for come August, Uncle Sam going to be having his hand out for them summer taxes. Okay,
right.
And I'm almost certain that I'm gonna have to pay them without any recognition of what's going on in the early parts of this year. But for our stuff, I think when our tenants, if they can't pay, me personally, we just doing straight forgiveness, until it's done. And because with folks not working when they start working, they're not going to be given this abundance of extra. Right. They'll still be trying to make do with the budgets that they're put on, because certain municipalities have deferred them. So now it's time to put back an extra $30 a month or whatever you agree with to your bill, or however they do it.
Right.
That is not going to be free. It's not. They're not just going to say because it's a trickle down. It's a trickle down effect.
Right.
So if it's free, then it has to be free for everybody.
Right.
And so it just can't be free from everybody.
Right.
So I'm really eager to see how this is going to roll out, but I think it's going to result in a whole lot of budgets. People having to negotiate with their utility companies and stuff like that, and put $25 extra on here, and then it's leaving you in this long drawn out process for 2 months. So you
right.
left paying off this bill. But we got, for us just stuck in the middle. I mean, really, what damn, like what can I do? Can I call my people like, okay, we're gonna let you get April and May full, and then in June, just get back with us on April and May. They ain't gonna have that.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that I can think of that might work for landlords like you is maybe, and I don't even know how it only really works, I think, if someone was planning on leaving, is that you can say, okay, well, I'm going to have to push your lease back by 2 months. So if we stayed for free for 2 months, we're going to have to push your lease back by 2 months.
Yeah.
So that so if they were planning on being out in June, they're just going to have to stay through August. And then that way, at least you get those extra 2 months, but it's still really not like getting 2 months, because they're still there occupying space.
Yeah.
But,
to just follow in with what's going on, I'm staying up to date on that for y'all in terms of what they're doing. They put these things in place for people that own real estate, because they knew that the trickle down effect was going to be people weren't going to be able to pay for their real estate or their commercial real estate. So what the government tried to do is back people that own real estate in two ways. Number one, that's why they're giving this loan to certain banks, because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac tend to hold almost somewhere near more than half of all the real estate that's out there in America. They hold both of those. And the only way you get Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is if you're dealing with one of the big major banks, BB&T, First Citizens, Wells Fargo, one of those, and some state employees credit unions. And to help the person who owns the property, that's why they're giving you basically 8 weeks where everything is forgiven. Your utilities, the mortgage, the payroll, they're forgiving you for all that once you apply for this program. And to finish up with Denise Jackson, she wanted to know, what about student loans? Was it discussed? No, we didn't discuss it just yet, Denise, but basically the issue on student loans is they are deferred till October 16th or something like that. But yeah, the issue with the deferment of those loans is we're stuck at the mercy of Betsy DeVos Ross, who has proven to be the absolute worst education secretary the United States has ever seen. But the bill says you don't have to worry about it. They're deferred. There's not going to be any interest charge. Right. If they send you a bill, don't pay it. That's what the bill says. We just have to see how Betsy DeVos Ross, who is against the way education is in our country, deals it out.
Right, right. I hope that with this bill going as it is, I really hope to God that these lending companies have their computer systems in order, because I would hate to see people say, okay, well, I don't have to pay this bill this month or the next month, and the next thing you know, they look up and their credit report is reporting that they're late, and now all of a sudden they're taking a ding to their credit score because, you know, whoever's their servicer just reported the credit credit reporting agencies that they haven't paid their student loans in 2 months.
Well, it's probably not going to happen with the student loans, but with everything that's happened that's putting people in a deficit, there is going to be some credit messed up. Now, it's like, let me see here. Trisha C is saying, it seems as if being suggested that tenants don't pay. We're not suggesting that you don't do that, but the market is suggesting that that's what's going to happen. Because I just got a letter from my property manager the other day that says their office is closed because of COVID-19, and that the courthouses are closed too. So if they needed to evict someone for not paying, that's not going to happen anytime soon. It's just not going to happen. So there ain't going to be no eviction notices or anything like that. It's going to be up to us landlords to go get our money through the SBA and then follow up with, if you have to, you're going to have to report these people to the credit bureau. There's just no way around that. There's no way around that. They're not you not to pay, but when you don't pay and you're late, you're still going to get reported to the credit bureau, and that's going to definitely be an issue a lot of people are going to have to deal with if you don't have reserve cash on hand to get you through this emergency period.
Right. But the reality of it is that if you're out there and you're in a service, you're in an industry that has been basically shut down, which is a lot of people, and you're not working and you have to pay your rent, well, you're not going to have any money to pay that rent. And if you are bringing any money in, if you file for unemployment and they give you some money, you know, the chances are you're going to need a good part of that money just to pay for food. And, you know, so the reality of it is when it comes to being able to eat or being able to have a roof over your head, a lot of people are going to choose to eat. And when you want people sheltering in place, the last thing you want people doing is getting evicted so they're out in the streets, you know? So,
well, the thing is, nobody's going to be out in the street right now because the sheriff's departments can't go get nobody because the court is closed. You can't even file the paperwork. So no one is going to be in the street. If they don't pay their rent, that's them making the choice that they just don't want to pay their rent. Right. Like I said, there's really nobody that's going to deal with that until probably May.
I really want to know what's going to happen with that, because I know places like California have extended it out. In some counties, they've extended that out to 6 months already. And I'm just curious to know what happens if you've been out of work for that long. If you're a waitress at Red Robin or Applebee's or something, and you're not working because they're saying, look, all we're doing is delivery and to-go services. We don't need any wait staff right now. And so you're sitting at home, you know, waiting to go back to work. And it's been a number of months. What happens if you haven't paid your rent? I mean, it's just, I'm glad some of you guys are like, well, we may just have to forgive people if they've been good tenants or whatever. We'll just have to forgive them and move forward. But I'm not sure every landlord can afford to do that. I mean, some landlords are, you know, I have a friend of mine in California. He owns a number of rental properties, but he's been blessed that he has all his places paid for in cash. So he bought all his places outright, and so all of his rents are just, you know, he doesn't have to worry about getting his rent so he can make his mortgage payment on this property. So, but not every landlord is like that. There's a lot of people that need that income coming in, or they can't actually afford to pay that mortgage.
Right.
You know? Now, and I want to know what's going to happen with those people. I mean, I know a lot of people just think, oh, whatever, they're just a bunch of rich landlords, but that's not true. Not everybody who rents properties is rich. Some people use that as their regular income.
Hey,
you know?
I want up, since y'all don't want to buy my damn YouTube t-shirts, y'all don't click on commercials, I got to have another source of fucking income. Hell, right. I use it too. But before we pivot to the streams, the TVs, the what are you watching, the Tiger King wants to get an appeal, I want to give you guys this breakdown about how they got the $1,200 for this bill. First and foremost, the United States national average, as you know, the minimum wage is $7.25. When you do a 40-hour work week, it equals to what they're paying you for 1 month, which is $1,200, but you got to add another $40 to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, as someone in the comment section just said, if you live in California or New York, what the hell is $1,200 for someone living in those states? Which is why we have got to fix this quote-unquote trickle-down capitalism, because it's just not working, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not working. Something else has got to be done.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk a little TV. Now we got to talk something real. If y'all want to keep up with us and our ongoing conversation about coronavirus relief, follow my channel, follow Larry. I'll be dropping videos for that all week. So we've all been talking about the Netflix series, The Tiger King. Y'all know I had hot takes for his ass, and I'm dropping my relief video about that tomorrow. Well, Mr. Tiger King, he wants to take a bite out of jail because he wants to get out. He wants to appeal his 22-year sentence. I'll start with Larry because T-Strings don't know that much about the show yet. Larry, what you've seen so far?
I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to watch it tonight. Or at least
yeah, well, T-String, we're gonna bring you back tomorrow. But Larry, based on what you know, should they be giving Joe?
Well, let me just say, I have a little bit of a personal connection with this show. I didn't realize it until I started watching it, right? Yeah. But some years ago, I don't know if some of you know, I am a photographer and video producer, and when I came out of grad school, I had taken a job with the Smithsonian Channel, and then after that job, I was looking for some other work, and I think it might have been before that even. But at some point, some years ago, I actually applied for a job with the Big Cat Rescue down in Florida, and I spoke to Carol Baskin on the phone a few times because she had interviewed me, and they had actually offered me a job to come down there and work as a photographer and a film producer for them, but I had to turn the job down because it just wasn't enough money. I mean, they were only offering me like $28,000 a year or something like that. And I just told them, I said, I can't pick up and move down to a new state for that type of money. Just can't do it.
There's no state income taxes in Florida. They was trying to do you a solid.
Yeah, no. But I will say that it's just, I mean, you talk about all the crazy, black people who will watch this show will sit there and they'll say, like, if black people ever talk to their white friends and their white friends say, can you give me an example of what black people mean when they say that's white people shit? Show them this show. Show them this show. This whole thing is just white people shit. Craziness. Like, why is your ass, for instance, on 200 something tigers? Crazy. And why are you running around? I mean, this place, I mean, the one dude saying he's Tiger King, he's up there, he's a meth head with a meth head boyfriend, 2 meth head boyfriends with their teeth falling out their mouths, and they're running around this place shooting guns. The one dude is talking about he feels like a prisoner because his Joe dude won't ever leave the property. I mean, this is complete and utter fuckery. And then, you know, you have Carol Baskin on the other side, which is sort of presented as sort of the rational one in this crazy scenario, except they're up there talking about she might have murdered her husband and fed him to the tigers.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that I'm a body language expert or I'm a facial expression expert, but if you look at her face, if you look at her eyes and you look at her body language when she's talking about this, I think she did it.
Oh yeah.
I think she killed her husband. I don't know if she fed him to the tigers. I'm not going to say that. There's a lot of ways you can dispose of a body. I mean, it seems to me like that would be the easiest thing, but I think she did it. And I'm not saying that she herself actually did it, but it could be that she worked with someone. It could have been anything. But when I watched that and I saw that, I looked at her face and the way her eyes were rolling up to the top of her head, rolling up into the left, and her body language, she was lying. Like she didn't do it herself. She was lying about it.
Yeah. Now here's as a black man, Taylor, when you watch this, you're going to have so many issues with the way white culture has portrayed black people in a manner that the things we do are just so taboo when they don't even look at the crazy shit they're doing. Not only is the main character in this thing nuts, but everybody else that's got these pathetic love for tigers are nuts too. And not only do they have these love for tigers, they utilize these love for tigers as they say, one pussy gets more pussy. So all of them got harems of women and harems of boys. All of them, they utilize their position to garner these cats to bring in these people that love them, and they use them as puppets.
Right. You have the one dude, Joe, who's basically like he's like sort of, I don't know, he's like in this gay triad, and then you have this other dude that's like this dude with this long blonde ponytail. He's basically like a cult leader, and then you have Carol who's doing her thing, and she's got a different thing altogether. She's got a bunch of money, and she tries to present herself as a sane, rational, you know, sort of a sane, rational person who's just out there as an environmentalist or an activist.
But
so is this a piece of fiction, or is this?
No, this is a documentary. This is a true crime documentary series.
This really happened, brother.
Yes,
this really happened.
It's so far from just telling this to you. It's so far from what you think is reality that it seems like it should be a piece of fiction, but it's reality.
It's reality. These people were using caged animals to make and exploit money. And now what I want to know is when Michael Vick got caught for dog fighting, white people acted like there's no justice that can be served for Mike Vick black ass. He should never get out of jail. This is the most heinous crime ever done because he was killing these cute puppies. I want that same energy from them same white folks that hate Michael Vick. I want them to hate everybody that was on this Netflix series because this is no different, and in some cases, it's a whole lot worse.
Right. Yeah, and you know, it's crazy because you have all these people who are just absolute lunatics in a lot of ways, and just I'll tell you some of the stuff that really trips me out. Like the one dude they were talking about, this dude, what was his name? Joe Lowe, I think it was, or John Lowe. I think it was Joe Lowe. Anyways, the dude that sort of came into the story towards the end, that he came in to help.
The Vegas guy. His name was Jeff.
Jeff?
Jeff, yeah.
Jeff Lowe. Okay, so this guy
that came in like he was rich, and he really wasn't quite that rich, and tried to steal the business from Joe Exotic.
Right. Now, here's the thing. They should have the local police over there or the feds or somebody over there arresting this dude immediately, because they have him on camera walking around with a shotgun, I believe, in his hand. This man is a convicted felon. It is illegal for him to own or possess a firearm in this country for the rest of his natural born life.
See what I'm saying? Larry, that's called white privilege.
Yes.
It's called white privilege. If that would have been any three of us, we would have been hauled into jail and probably wouldn't have got out. That's why if you're a black person and you watch this, you're going to be highly upset at the things these people get away with, where it wouldn't even have took us 1/8 of the stuff to do, and they would have had us in jail for the rest of our natural black lives.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy. And what's her name? Carol Baskin over there at the Big Cat Rescue. It's just, I mean, I believe that I'm not going to say that she did it in the way that they're portraying her as killing her husband. I just really think that she did it. And I think all these people they all have just dirt and blood on their hands, and they're all just a bunch of lunatics. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's just two lunatic groups fighting over who's less of a lunatic, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
you'll have to see it, teachers. I when I first heard about this, my brother told me about this, and then Lamont told me about this, and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. That sounds kind of stupid. But then I started watching it, and I was hooked. I was like, these people are out their minds. So
and that's the thing. I've been hearing about it for a couple of days. I've been seeing it at least in heavy rotation throughout, social media outlets for the last at least 2, maybe 3 days, and then you somebody say, "Oh, don't watch that Tiger Moon crap," and blah 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 blah. And so when somebody brought it to my attention today, and and of course this was a white guy, he's like, "Man, if you really want to see some dumb fuck hillbilly stuff, then this is what it is." And so I just, I'm like, that kind of stuff. I don't even watch it, but I'm gonna go ahead and check it out. I really don't need very much to persuade me on how deep some of that stuff gets sometimes.
Man, I'll tell you, those folks are crazy. I mean, they are straight up lunatics. They are crazy. And it's funny because you have the you have the one side with what's her name, the whole Big Cat Rescue. They try and portray themselves as the nice guys. They're just being, they've just been gone after by these other people. But it seems like everybody involved in the whole exotic animal industry, the whole big cat thing, all the people that did all their exotic stuff, monkeys, orangutans, alligators, all these people are lunatics. They're lunatics. A number of them are like, they talked about the one dude that's on there that used to be a former drug distributor. They were saying that apparently he was the drug dealer that Tony Montana was based off of. Mm-hmm. I mean, these people are the whole lot of them. It's not like there's some random person who went to college for zoology or something and they decided, I'm going to start a big cat reserve or something or sanctuary. No, these are all a bunch of lunatics in one way or the other.
And so T-Streams, when I'm sitting here explaining to my white friends the things that frustrate African Americans when we watch this, stereotypes generally are based on a negative persona of a group of people or entities. Right. Okay. And usually it seems like the only stereotypes you hear is that of African Americans. There are stereotypes for white people. And those stereotypes are all played out in this damn show. So the main character is a bumfuck redneck who is a polygamist, who believes in the religion and the Bible, who gets up every morning and puts a gun around his hip, who likes tigers, and then I add, he's gay. He's
right.
All about. Then he's trying to sing like fucking Elvis.
Right.
Trees of green. Nigga, shut up.
He's crazy as hell. The dude is crazy as hell.
Man, he's crazy. Then we go to the guy in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord have mercy. He looks like Paul E. Dangerously from WWE with that long ponytail.
He looks like He looks like what's that dude that that character James Spade played in that movie? Oh man, I'm gonna look it up. Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, he's got a harem of women that love tigers and cats. Oh my. They range from age 18 up to age 24, and his ass is like 60 years old. Then Taylor, it's just a cabal of white stereotypes. And the whole time you're sitting there looking at those tigers, thinking to myself, this is pure T people making money off enslaving another living being. It's exactly what it's doing. So they take cats, they breed them, and what they do is when the cat gets to be like 5 years old, they kill them because they eat too much food and they can't afford it. All the money is made with the young cat that they can go out, let people pet them, let people rub them on the head, let people, put their finger in their butt if they want to, all kinds of stuff like that they be doing for like $600-700 a pop at all these events. And then the other thing that I'm just like, man, how y'all letting these people get away with this stuff? As Larry said, they were investigating these people, Taylor. They knew that some of these people had felonies and they didn't really do nothing.
Nothing. And the crazy thing is, so there's the one dude that's in South Carolina. He looks like Joe Dirt to me. That's what he looks like. The dude with his long hair in the back. Joe Dirt. You ever see that show, Joe Dirt, the movie with David Spade?
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Is that where he got the
Yeah. So apparently one of the women that used to work with him, she said that she saw him online, she looked him up, thought this was gonna be the greatest thing. She said she went and sold her car and talked her dad into driving her down there so that she can go move onto this this facility and go work with the Tigers. And so she said as her dad was dropping her off, before he pulled off, he told her, don't fall in love with your boss. I'm thinking to myself, if you are, as a father, see that you're dropping your daughter off with some dude who looks like he's some sort of playboy type who's basically running a harem, how about you get your daughter back in the car and drive her ass home? Make up an excuse if you have to. Oh, I just got a call from mom. She just can't. She got a call. She's sick. We need to go back home. You have to come back and do this next month. Make up some excuse. And once you get her ass home, then you tell her whatever you have to do to keep her there. You don't drop her off with this dude who's basically running a harem. I mean, she even talked about, she said that this is how crazy it is. At one point, she said she went and got implants. She didn't even realize, she didn't even say yes to it. They just came and told her one day, you're going to get implants. She says she doesn't even remember saying yes. All she remembers thinking was, I'm so tired because they had me working from 8 o'clock in the morning to midnight every day. She said, I just remember being so tired thinking, okay, I'm going to get a couple days off of work. And so she said she went, they took her in the next day, they got her boob implants, and then she got like 3 days off, and then she was back out there right after that. And apparently he wanted all his women to look sexy, and he used to have them dressed up in these little tight, sexy cat outfits and stuff. It was just, I mean, the dude was running basically like a cat cult.
It was the dude number one selling item in his store was tiger print underwear for men.
Yeah.
Bruh. And my wife loved me to death, but she don't even want to see me in no tight tiger prints for men.
It ain't gonna happen.
Nah, bro.
I'm telling you, you gotta watch this. It's ridiculous. You gotta watch it. It's utterly and completely ridiculous.
So when you watch it, T-Streams, I'll revisit this question of, do you think he deserves to get an appeal on his case? But to move on so we can wrap this thing up, Taylor, give us a show or a movie that you really enjoy that the people should watch.
You know what, man? A lot of people probably have already seen it right about now, but the Invisible Man was actually pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed The Invisible Man, and you know, I normally don't watch very much, but these last few days I've been watching a whole lot, and so I definitely enjoyed that, and you know, And you know, if something for the kids, a good film would probably be that Sonic. That's pretty good for the kids. If
Okay.
you set
I did a review for Invisible Man. I thought it was a pretty good movie. The only thing I didn't like was there's one little subplot in there I felt like they could have done better, but I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen it. But it is a good movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
Larry, your turn, Larry.
So, I mean, obviously, right now I'm watching Tiger King. So I have about 2 episodes left. So that's my recommendation right now. It is a really interesting documentary. It's crazy. It's it's a documentary series, so it's one of those true crime things. It is very, very interesting. Excuse me. On the movie side, the other night I watched Call of the Wild with Harrison Ford, and I wasn't sure I was gonna like that movie. I only got it because my wife said she wanted to see it, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna start watching it. I'm gonna put it on, and I had to say, it probably was within like the first minute of that movie, I was like, this is a good movie. This is going to be a good movie. And I was like, man, I wish my niece was here, because it was one of those shows you can watch and enjoy as an adult, but it's a great movie to show your kids as well, or your young ones, whoever they might be. So Call of the Wild, that's my recommendation as a movie, and Tiger King for the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
As for me, and let me shout out the homie Yellow Light Gold. Yes, you are Yellow Light Gold. I know exactly who you are. Segment that you like, where we're talking about our TV shows and things like that. So for me, of course, I'm down with Larry on Tiger King, but I also started season 3, episode 1 of Ozarks, and it's got Tommy Power up there, and he's already up there tripping. He already up there tripping. If you want to know what
you say, Ozark?
Yeah, Ozark, season 3, episode 1. If you guys want to know what Tommy's show for Power is going to be like, this is a small window into what it's going to be like, because Joseph Sikora is a great actor. He's an outstanding actor. And you throw him in here with these oddballs that are on Ozark, and you just know it's going to be a combustible situation. And it comes to a head in episode 1.
Wow.
5 minutes of episode 1. If you're squeamish, if you're someone that don't like to see a lot of blood and guts all over the place, skip on past the first 5 minutes, because that's exactly what you're going to get. And I'll be dropping a review for episode 1 tomorrow.
One other thing I want to mention too, I don't know if any of you watch Vice on HBO, because there's 2 different. They have Vice News, which is like a daily thing, but I'm not even sure if they have that on HBO anymore. But they have Vice, the TV show, which is a weekly show that usually has like 2 to 3 segments of short documentaries where they talk about various current event things that happen around the world. And they do some really, really interesting stories. I mean, they've done stories about, for instance, going to, I believe it was in Mauritania or somewhere, where they have these fat camps where they would send the women out to these camps that are like out in the middle of the desert. And they just basically, they give them like this soup or something that just makes them gain weight. And they just eat and eat and eat, because in their culture, to be fat and big is a status symbol. It's for the girls. It's to say, look, my parents can afford to feed me and make me plump, and so they want to be big. And so I mean, it's just stories like that. They've done stories on like the dog festival in China, where people eat dogs. They've done all kinds of crazy, really interesting documentaries that you don't often see in other places online or on TV. So anyways, Vice is back, and they have their new episode for the new season out.
What you
talking to your wife?
My bad. Just don't pay me no attention, man. As you see, I've been up here a long time. I'm going to have to end this show, ladies and gentlemen. I am expecting a baby, and when folks come into the kitchen wearing certain garments, grabbing food, I know what that means. That means, man, you better get your ass in bed, because you want to keep this you want to keep this wedding and this marriage happy. So, T-Streams, tell the people what you want them to hear before we get out of here.
All right, man. The only thing I really want to share with you guys right now is be safe. Take care of you and your family. play your part in this and everything that's going on. This right now we living in a different world. We hope to see it return back to normal, and we like to see it return back to normal with you in it.
Right.
Larry.
Yeah, same. I mean, stay at home, stay isolated, give people their 6 feet when they're out and about, and try and find ways to keep your mind busy. There's a lot of stuff online. There's a lot of the companies and schools and arts organizations are really trying to do their best to keep people busy. There's a lot of resources online where you can go and you can take classes. You can get, you can take certain courses where you can get your skill set up. You can get, all kinds of art entertainment. You can watch operas and plays and concerts. And if you check out stuff like, I think he's even streaming right now. Questlove has been doing a nightly, basically party at home mix where he gets on there and DJs for 4 or 5 hours every night. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot, trying to keep people entertained. So stay at home and just, as much as you can, enjoy this time. Just extra time with your family and yourself, and stay safe and healthy.
So everybody, I always try on my channel to give you life gains. What are life gains? Something that you can do in your life that has lasting value, that gives your life quality of life as you get older. The one thing that can give you quality of life, for those of you that don't want kids, put on a condom so that you don't get no Rona babies. That's number one. And number two thing is, ladies and gentlemen, just because you're on quarantine don't mean you can't get out and go jogging in your neighborhood for exercise. Right. Because a lot of us, not only we trying to avoid Rona babies, we want to avoid the Rona pounds. So right. Do jogging in your local community. Tell your spouse or your significant other, if you have one, come on, honey, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk and a jog. Keep our heart together, keep our minds together. And think of the different things you can do in terms of making a plan for your life right now while you're stuck at home with nothing to do. Start planning what you want to achieve in your life over the next couple of weeks, over the next year. Have your roadmap mapped out so that when all this stuff ends, and it will end, ladies and gentlemen, if you do your part, you are ready to attack the world with a new fervor. And that's your life gains ending for today. Larry, take us out of here.
All right, everyone, it's been real. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for sticking around for this hour and 37 we've been on. Make sure that if you have a side piece, do not add her to Zoom so you don't get caught out there. And until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Peace.
Boy, you about to get somebody in trouble, Larry.